What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. I saw a recent clip of Joe Rogan in his most recent interview with Bret Weinstein, where he talks about a dream that he had that feels very familiar with the UFO topic. Because over the 2 years that I've been talking to people who had these experiences, they can't really reach like a proper conclusion whether they had a dream or they actually lived that experience. Um, they do agree, all of them, that they felt that the experience was very, very real. And Joe Rogan recently, talking to Bret Weinstein, spoke about a dream that he had. But check out if you can spot the similarities with other contact experiences if you have read about any of them. So here it is.
That I had the most bizarre dream I've ever had in my life last night. The most realistic and most bizarre dream. And it's so hard to try to explain how strange this was. But I was in some weird corridor that looked like a building but was odd. Very strange. And I was encountering these beings that looked like people but very different. They were very thin and they were slightly on the tall side. And they had big heads, like larger than normal with larger than normal eyes. But they looked like people and they were playful and they were scaring me. They scared me and then they joked around, like we were just joking around. It was the most realistic dream I've ever had in my life. And I woke up and I could not go back I had to stay up. I got up at 3:30 in the morning.
So this is important to note because historically, and when you talk about these accounts, the exact time at which this happens usually with people who have contact experiences and other types is at 3 a.m. in the morning. And presumably he woke up at 3:30. So if this coincides with the usual hour that is reported, Joe's experience happened at around the same time, 3 a.m. So that's just one thing to point out. Let's continue.
And I just went to the gym and I worked out for a couple hours and I was like, what the fuck was that? But it was very bizarre in that there was communication going on. It was like, God, I want to read into this because I know it's just a dream, but it was like, get comfortable with this.
You should read into it because it's a dream. So it doesn't make it right, but your subconscious is trying to tell you about something, and the fact that it felt very, very important means your subconscious thinks it's very, very important.
I woke up, I was tired, man. When I went to bed, I was tired. I was falling asleep watching TV. I went to bed at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, like beat down. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get some sleep. Because I had a long week, a lot of activities, workouts, this, that, the other. Tired. 3:30 in the morning, after whatever this was, woke me up so much that I just laid in bed for like another hour. And I was like, there is no way I'm going to sleep. I'm up forever. And then I just went and worked out. I worked out and I was hoping I would be exhausted after I worked out and I'd be able to relax. But it was like a couple hours after that I laid down and I took a nap for an hour before I came here.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Did you see a video, I think it was yesterday, maybe it was the day before, of some Chinese robots that seemed to be across on our side of the uncanny valley, that they walk with a gait that feels very human? Did you see that?
No, I haven't seen that. Is that the latest?
I don't know. I've seen it a few times in the last couple of days. It sort of sounded to me like your dream might have been responsive, you know?
These things felt very organic. Whatever this was, it felt like living organic beings that were like us. There was also a water element. It was hard to understand what the water element of it was, but there was some sort of an indication that there was water and that there was a protection from you going out into the water, but if you did go into the water, there's a bunch of predators in the water. But they weren't like, it wasn't like sharks, it was reptile, like crocodile type things that were in the water, and that they had been like feeding them and keeping them calm and like keeping them away. But whatever these beings were in my dream, they were like what humans could eventually be. That's what it felt like. If it didn't feel like a person, but like, you know, like I don't feel like a monkey, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was like that. It was very, very realistic. Like there was communication going on, and I was really freaked out, and they were fucking with me to lighten me up because I was freaked out. They're like, ah, and then they were like this, like calm down, like relax. It was so realistic. It was so realistic that when it was over, I wasn't sure what happened. Like it wasn't like, whoa, what a fucked up dream. It was like, that was different.
This happened right at the very start of the podcast. You can hear the music playing. Might I point out that Joe Rogan does have in the top 10, like 2 or 3 of the most listened shows in his show's history are about the UFO subject. And it doesn't matter what you think about Joe. It doesn't matter if you don't like him or if you think nobody should pay attention to him because of the variety of guests that he gets. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that he is talking about this in arguably the biggest platform in media. And he is talking to some of the most important names within the UFO topic. And if any of this is true, it makes sense that somebody reached out to Joe to just fuck with him. It makes sense. I'm not saying it happened, but I think there are many similarities of what Joe talks about with some of the contact experiences that are recorded in books and documents and media. There are many. So I don't know if Joe had a contact experience or something along those lines. What I do know is that, yeah, the reports that are relayed on us whenever we looked into them, they have many similarities to what Joe is talking about here. It is very interesting that what he said at the very end, where he talks about how he felt like these beings that he experienced in his dream sort of felt like a more advanced version of him. That coincides with Dr. Michael Masters' work on the future humans, the extraterrestrial model. And it also coincides with Dr. Celestino Piotti's point of view about future humans. He has a different theory, but kind of similar to what Dr. Michael Masters talks about. And it just goes back to that time element that we've been talking about. And it just goes back to the potential for a species like us to go through some kind of an event and be forced to go underground or maybe leave the planet. And the evolutionary process changes depending on what that species chooses to do. And it changes. And the morphology of the hominid at the time also should change, because if you go underground, your whole morphology and your evolutionary process physically and biologically is going to be very different than if you go to the stars. It is going to be very different. Different conditions allow for different parts of your body to evolve in a certain way. And do you see where I'm getting at? You know, so I don't know. It's something that stays on my mind for a long time, and something that I've been talking about in this channel, the potential for the time element to be a real thing. I don't know if something happened within Joe's brain at 3 a.m. or if he really did experience an interaction with something not from here. I don't know. But let me know what you think about this in the comments, and what type of different experiences that you've read about or maybe you experienced are similar to what Joe is talking about here. I could guarantee you guys that many of you are going to remember a case, and just let me know in the comments, because I did find a lot of similarities here. And I'm sorry, there's a lot of people that claim to have had abduction or contact experiences that they're not really 100% sure if it was really a real thing or a dream, you know? So, and let me know what you think about Joe Rogan's position when it comes to this entire topic. Do you think that the criticism he gets is warranted? Or what do you think about the major platform he's using in order to speak about this topic? Let me know in the comments as well. I'm dying to know. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to like, share, comment, hype, and subscribe and hit the bell icon. That's all you need to do in order to help us, and it is what helps us the most. So thank you. But if you want to support us in other ways, there's a few links down there you can choose from. You can also become a member on YouTube, or you can also support us through KGRA. Anything you choose to do is always appreciated, so thank you. And that's it for me today on this video, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, stay curious and inquisitive like Joe Rogan. Always. Bye.